WJR.
WJR recognizes world-class headquarters in Michigan. I'm Frank Beckmann, and this month WJR recognizes R.L. Polk and Company, and I'm with Chairman, President, and CEO Stephen Polk. How are you?
Very fine, Frank.
Good to see you. What a company story you've got. R.L. Polk Company, which, for people who don't know, dates back to 1870 when your great-grandfather started it.
Yeah, my great-grandfather actually ended up in Detroit after he'd left his home at 15 to fight in the Civil War. He didn't go back after that. He ended up in Detroit and learned about directory publishing business and got to start with someone that backed him here to publish the first book.
And that's how your company began.
Yep.
As a business directory company.
We were publishing, first directory was actually a gazette for every railroad stop from Detroit to Chicago along the railroad line. And he sold that book to businesses along the way that were looking to understand who they could call on when they made sales calls.
Fascinating. I mean, he was ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think we were certainly one of the early information businesses in the U.S., and he had found a real niche publishing directories then.
Sure. Now, as time went on, this company, R.L. Polk, was passed along from generation to generation, and you're now the fourth Polk to actually run the company.
Well, I would be the fifth Polk.
The fifth?
Yep.
Take me through the lineage.
Well, my great-grandfather is the founder. He was succeeded by my grandfather, who was Ralph Lane Polk II. Did many firsts for the company there. He was the one that first got us into direct mail, direct communications, and also got us in the automotive business. We can talk a little bit more about that later, because it's certainly a big milestone. Then my father ran the business for a number of years, and then I had a brother who actually passed away, unfortunately, in 1985, but left me as the current manager and chairman, and it's been an exciting run.
Has it always been assumed in the family that you would continue the lineage and be a part of this business?
Well, I guess I was fortunate. I had a lot of options along the way, and my brother was heir apparent, if you will, as the Ralph Lane Polk IV. My chance came really when I decided I wanted to learn more about the company. I certainly had grown up with it, and I approached him for a job back in 1981 now, so quite a while ago.
When did R.L. Polk decide to focus on automotive?
That goes back to about 1920. Interesting story there. It was my grandfather, who was very active with the directory business in town here, but also active socially, and he had the chance to meet Alfred Sloan, who, of course, as the engineer for General Motors Company that came to be the greatest industrial company in the world at the time. Alfred was very much a data-driven individual, and he recognized what my grandfather was doing with the directory publishing business and queried him one evening as the story was relayed down through time that wouldn't it be nice if Polk could count cars the way we counted people for our directory business? Because Alfred was quite certain that Henry Ford wasn't telling him the truth when he asked him how many cars they were selling. It somewhat resonated in my grandfather's head, and he actually found a little business in Des Moines, Iowa that was publishing statistics based on county registration files from automobiles. He took that idea and created the first national vehicle census, which we published in 1921.
And then at one point during the company's history, you decided this was the way to go, to focus on something that you do very, very well and remain there.
Mm-hmm. That was actually one of the things that I would say was a key decision that I had to make. I took over as chairman of the company in 1994. My brother had passed away in 1985, and it was an interesting time for a lot of businesses around the country, around the world. We had to take a hard look at what we were doing. The directory business that had run for 120 years was not thriving with the changes coming through, the internet.
Well, exactly. With the technology advancing the way it was, you either had to change or disappear.
It was a very different world we were experiencing, and we took a look at what we'd done best, and that was actually the automotive business. Not where we started, but clearly where we had the most knowledge and expertise. And we looked at what we could do with the automotive business and made the decision that needed to be our entire focus. So really starting 1999 and 2000, we sold off what amounted to over half of the businesses that we were operating at the time, just so we could focus on automotive.
It's also amazing to see, Stephen Polk, how you embraced this new technology called the Internet and began using it to benefit yourself. Rather than to count on printed books all the time, you used the Internet to help you.
Well, we certainly saw that the Internet was going to change the world. Clearly, with information technology, and Polk has been an information technology company, certainly for the last 40 years, Internet changes the way people view the world, needed to change the way we operated the business as well. It gave us a chance to expand into some new areas. We had partnered with a little company called Carfax that does used vehicle histories back in 1993. We acquired 100% of that business in 1999, and that was certainly a business that thrived on the internet. So we not only tried to adapt our business to it, but look for new opportunities. And
So
things
when
that
we
fit.
buy used cars and want to see the record of that vehicle, we get it through R.L. Polk.
Get it indirectly through our Polk,
with
through
Carfax.
the Carfax at Carfax.com, or as we say, through your local dealer, because the dealers are probably the biggest supporter for that business.
You know, you did a study not all that long ago. It was January 2006, I believe, where you found that most buyers of automobiles are no longer doing their shopping in the traditional ways. They, too, are using the internet as almost an exclusive source to educate themselves about the cars they're thinking about buying.
Well over half of the new car buyers now have gone to the internet before they ever go to a dealer to talk to anyone. It's clearly an important source for information. And even more important, I think what we're seeing now across the industry is money targeted at the internet. That is where they know new car buyers are going to be stopping, and how do you attract people to get the information from your site is a critical piece.
It also is a way that helps businesses grow, as we've seen with R.L. Polk. You're around the world now, not just in Michigan, and counting car numbers here.
Well, we certainly realized that our customer base was global, and that has been part of the focus. When we concentrated on what we were doing, international has played a very important role in that. We have offices in Beijing now. We had offices in Australia for a number of years, and we have an office Germany, France, Spain, and the UK. So it's an important piece of what we do because customers there.
What makes Michigan special for you?
Well, I think Michigan's special for me, not just because of the fact that I grew up here, but because of the fact that when you look globally across the automotive industry, I don't think there's any place that's more important today than Michigan right now. The automotive knowledge that's based here, the expertise, the technology, and the support for the industry is still headquartered here. There's a reason even Toyota's new car was designed out of the Ann Arbor office, and that's because they wanted to tap into the resources from Southeast Michigan.
Mm-hmm. And you're committed to staying here.
We're committed to stay here. We certainly had a good run so far, and I'd like to see a company thriving for another 100 years.
Well, it's only 138 years or so I suppose we could count on that continuing. Best of luck to you. Thanks for stopping by and talking to us.
Well, thank you very much, Frank.
Stephen Polk, the man at the top of R.L. Polk Company, born in Michigan, committed to staying in Michigan, with world-class headquarters right here in our community. Learn more at WJR.com, sponsored by R.L. Polk.